There is a silence that wraps the world before Fajr. It is not the kind of silence that brings peace, but the kind that pulls at your heart. The streets are quiet, the stars still linger, and yet something inside you feels unsettled. Your chest feels heavy, your mind restless, your soul wide awake even when your eyes beg to rest. It's as if your heart knows something your body has forgotten. That hour, that fragile hour before dawn, is not just a passing moment in time. It is a spiritual reminder that something within you is being called, stirred, and awakened. You may think it's anxiety or sadness or just another sleepless night, but often it is your soul remembering the one who created it. There is something sacred about those pre-dawn hours, when the world has not yet opened its eyes and the noise of life has not yet returned. The air feels different. It carries whispers of mercy, echoes of forgiveness, and an invitation that so many hearts ignore. The heaviness you feel is not always a punishment or pain. It can be a gentle tug from the divine, a reminder that your soul is hungry while you've been feeding only your body. The soul does not eat food. It feeds on remembrance, on prayer, on that intimate moment when tears fall quietly on a prayer mat while the rest of the world sleeps. The darkness before Fajr is not empty. It is filled with angels, descending with mercy, seeking hearts that long to be healed. In that hour, the distance between heaven and earth feels thinner. You may not see it, but your soul feels it. That nearness, that pull, that quiet invitation to rise. Sometimes your heart feels heavy because it carries the weight of unspoken words, the burden of things you never said to your Lord, the guilt of prayers missed, or the longing for peace you cannot find anywhere else. And in that stillness, your heart aches because it remembers. It remembers the peace that comes only through surrender, the comfort that comes only through sujood, the light that only Fajr can bring. Many people mistake that heaviness for sadness, but in truth, it is mercy. The discomfort is a sign that your heart is still alive, that it still longs for its maker. If it were dead, you wouldn't feel anything at all. That ache before Fajr is a heartbeat of faith that refuses to be silenced. It's the softest form of divine communication, not through words, but through emotion. It's your Creator calling you gently, come back. I am waiting for you. The reason your heart feels unsettled is because it is being reminded of what it was created for. Not endless scrolling, not empty distractions, but connection, prayer, and peace. You may try to silence it by turning over in bed, distracting yourself with thoughts, or telling yourself you'll pray later. But that pull does not fade easily. It lingers because your soul recognizes that time, the last third of the night, as sacred. It is the time when the most merciful descends to the lowest heaven, asking, "Is there anyone seeking forgiveness that I may forgive them?" Your heart feels heavy because it senses that divine nearness. It knows there's an opportunity, waiting, a moment where your entire life can shift, your burdens can lift, your heart can find peace again. When the world sleeps and only the sincere ones rise, that is when the unseen doors open. That's when tears are not wasted, when du'as are not unheard. That's when broken hearts are mended quietly, not by people, but by the one who made them. Your heart feels heavy before Fajr because it knows that soon the light will break through. But before that light touches the horizon, it wants you to kneel before the one who created light itself. It wants you to let go of what's been weighing you down, to pour it out in whispers, to find strength and surrender. The heaviness before Fajr is not a curse, it is an invitation. It is your heart remembering home, remembering that no matter how far you've drifted, there's always a moment before dawn to return. That ache is mercy, disguised as pain, a sign that your soul still yearns for the one it was made to love. When you feel that weight pressing against your chest in the darkness, know that it is not meant to break you. It is meant to wake you. Because somewhere beyond the stillness, your Lord is waiting, closer than the breath that trembles in your chest, whispering softly for you to rise. There is an unseen call that echoes before Fajr, one that cannot be heard by the ears, but is deeply felt by the heart. It is not the sound of an alarm or the cry of a voice, but something more delicate, more spiritual, a pull that tugs quietly at the soul. It comes when the night is at its deepest, when the world is wrapped in stillness, and when only a few hearts are awake enough to notice. That call is your Creator inviting you into a conversation that the rest of the world is too asleep to hear. It is the divine reminder that you are not forgotten, that even in your silence, your soul is being summoned toward peace. There is something sacred in the way this call reaches you. It does not come through force, but through softness. It whispers into the places of your heart that ache, into the spaces you've tried to fill with everything else. It is as though your heart has been wandering all day, lost among distractions, and finally, in the silence before dawn, it hears the voice it has been searching for. That is why sometimes you wake up for no reason, or you cannot fall asleep no matter how tired you are. You think it's your body, but it's your soul trying to respond. You feel restless, uneasy, as if something is missing, because deep inside something is calling you home. The unseen call of your Creator is not bound by words. It speaks in feelings, in signs, in moments that stir you unexpectedly. You might feel an urge to look outside, to breathe deeply, to weep without knowing why. You may not understand it, but your heart does. It's the same call that reached the prophets in their solitude, the same call that awakened saints and seekers through centuries. The pull toward divine connection when the world is asleep. It's the call that says, rise and meet me, not because God needs your worship, but because your heart needs His presence. There is a secret about this time that many forget. The angels descend during those hours, carrying messages of mercy surrounding those who turn to prayer. The atmosphere changes. Even the air feels lighter, softer, as if the heavens themselves have bent closer to the earth. You may feel your heart tremble, your eyes moisten, your breath slow. These are not random sensations. They are the signs of your soul being drawn into remembrance. The unseen call touches you not to frighten you, but to remind you that you are loved, that your Lord still wants to hear your voice, even after all your silence, even after all your sins. Sometimes this call feels heavy because it reveals the distance you've created. You may feel unworthy to respond. You may think, how can I stand before Him after everything I've done? But that heaviness is precisely why you are being called, because your Creator sees that your heart is burdened, and He is inviting you to lay that burden down. He calls not the perfect, but the broken, not the consistent, but the ones who are trying. And every time you ignore that call, your heart becomes a little heavier because the soul recognizes what the body resists, the need to return. The unseen call of your Creator before Fajr is an act of mercy. It is His way of reaching into your darkness and lighting a candle. It's the moment where the distance between heaven and earth seems to shrink, where forgiveness feels near enough to touch. It is the hour when tears are welcomed, when silence becomes prayer, when your soul is closest to its source. You may not hear a voice, but you will feel it. The soft insistence that you are not meant to sleep through this sacred time. It's as if the universe itself pauses, waiting for you to respond, to rise, to whisper back, I am here. That call does not discriminate. It reaches the sinner and the saint alike. It finds the mother awake with worry, the man weighed down by guilt, the young soul lost in confusion. It finds you no matter how far you have strayed. It doesn't demand perfection, only sincerity. Because that moment before Fajr, that gentle hour before dawn, is not about duty. It's about love. The one who created you calls you not to test you, but to heal you, to remind you that His mercy is greater than your mistakes, that His door is still open, that you still have time to return. The unseen call of your Creator is not a sound you hear. It's a feeling that grips you, a thought that wants to let you rest, a weight that reminds you that there is something more to life than what you are living. It is the most tender invitation you will ever receive, an invitation to peace, to forgiveness, to renewal. When your heart feels that mysterious pull before Fajr, know that it is not coincidence, not insomnia, not mere restlessness. It is love. It is your Creator reminding you that He has not forgotten you and He never will. There are moments before Fajr when your heart begins to whisper softly, and you can almost feel the weight of your past pressing down on your chest. It's not a loud cry or a burst of emotion. It's quieter than that. It's the kind of ache that creeps in gently, reminding you of things you've done, words you wish you hadn't said, or times when you turned away from what was right. The world outside is still, the stars hang silently, and in that silence your heart begins to speak in ways it couldn't during the noise of the day. That whisper is not meant to shame you, it's meant to cleanse you. It's your soul reminding you that forgiveness is near, that mercy is waiting, that the door to peace has never closed. When the heart whispers for forgiveness before dawn, it's not because it wants to revisit pain, it's because it longs for relief. The weight you feel is not punishment, it's your conscience trying to breathe again. You may not even realize how much you've been carrying, the guilt, the mistakes, the regrets that cling like shadows. But in those sacred hours before Fajr, when everything else is still, your heart begins to remember the one place it can lay them down. The whisper for forgiveness comes from a place of love, not fear. It is your heart saying, I'm tired of holding this alone. It's the voice of your soul asking to be unburdened in front of the one who already knows everything you've done and still loves you enough to wake you up before the world does. It is in those moments of quiet that you begin to feel the pull of repentance, that deep urge to cry without reason, to speak without words, to seek without shame. That is not weakness, it is the strength of your spirit remembering where healing begins. Forgiveness is not just about erasing sins, it's about reconnecting with the one who can make your heart whole again. Before Fajr, that connection feels closer, almost tangible, as if mercy itself hovers in the air. The angels move through the night carrying the prayers of those who rise, and your heart senses it, that if it just speaks, if it just whispers even once, forgive me, something in the unseen will shift. The heart's whisper for forgiveness is one of the purest forms of worship. It's not loud, not rehearsed, not perfect. It's the moment when your pride falls silent and your truth rises. You might not even know how to form the words, but your tears will. Forgiveness doesn't always need language, it needs sincerity. The heart knows how to ask even when the tongue cannot. The one who hears the sound of a tear before it falls, the one who sees the tremble in your chest before you speak, understands the language of your silence. And before Fajr, when the world sleeps and only sincerity stirs, that language is most clearly heard. When you find your heart heavy before Fajr, it may not be sadness. It may be your soul longing to be washed. It remembers that prayer cleanses more than sins. It cleanses the heart. It's the moment where you release the burdens you thought you had to carry forever. Sometimes that whisper is filled with guilt, sometimes with longing, and sometimes with gratitude that you are still alive to try again. Each heartbeat is a reminder that it's not too late. Every breath before dawn is an invitation to return. The weight you feel is not something to run from, it's something to listen to. Because that whisper is not coming to break you, it's coming to free you. Forgiveness is not about rewriting the past, but about redeeming the present. When you turn your heart back toward your Creator before Fajr, you're not pretending to be perfect. You're acknowledging that you need Him. And that acknowledgement alone is an act of worship. The whisper of the heart says, I'm sorry, but beneath that it says something even deeper. I miss you. The heart misses the peace that only remembrance brings. It misses the calm that comes when tears fall in Sujood. It misses the safety of surrender, the comfort of knowing you're forgiven, even when the world would not forgive you. Before Fajr, forgiveness feels closer because that is when the most merciful waits for the brokenhearted. It's when the door of mercy is wide open, when every whispered prayer is heard, when every regret can become a reason to start again. You may think your sins are too many, your mistakes too heavy, but your heart's whisper knows the truth, that the mercy of your Creator is greater than anything you've done. That is why the whisper comes, not to remind you of your flaws, but to remind you of His compassion. So when your heart feels heavy before dawn and you feel that quiet voice within you urging you to rise, don't silence it. That is your soul remembering its source. It is the whisper of forgiveness calling you home. It is not weakness to cry before your Lord. It is strength to surrender. Every tear that falls in the stillness of that hour is not lost. It is counted, cherished, and answered. Because the heart that whispers for forgiveness before Fajr is a heart that still believes in mercy, and that belief is what makes it worthy of being forgiven. There are nights when you lie awake before Fajr and your heart feels as though it's carrying a mountain. It's not a physical weight, but an invisible one. A heaviness that sits quietly, whispering of all the prayers you've missed. All the moments you said, "I'll pray later," and later never came. The burden of neglected prayers is not something that disappears easily, because deep within you, the soul remembers what it was created for. It knows that every missed prayer was not just a skipped routine, but a moment of connection lost. And so, before Fajr, when the night is still and distractions fade away, that remembrance rises. Your heart begins to ache because it remembers what your body forgot. The peace that comes only through prayer. When you neglect your prayer, you are not only missing an act of worship, you are starving your soul. The body can survive without sleep for a night, without food for a while, but the soul weakens without prayer. It becomes restless, uneasy, searching for something that can only be found in Sujood. Before Fajr, that restlessness grows louder. The silence around you amplifies the voice inside you, the one that says, you used to talk to him more often, or you haven't bowed in days. It's not guilt alone that speaks. It's love disguised as longing. Your heart is not angry at you for neglecting your Lord. It's pleading with you to return. The burden of neglected prayers is not meant to crush you, but to awaken you. It is mercy in disguise. The discomfort you feel is your Creator's way of calling you back. Because even in your neglect, He never neglected you. He still wakes you, still sustains you, still sends light through your window every morning. And perhaps that's why your heart feels so heavy before Fajr, because deep inside you realize how much love you've been shown despite your silence. That realization is both painful and beautiful. Painful because you recognize your distance, beautiful because you know you can still come back. The more you delay prayer, the heavier the heart becomes. Each missed connection leaves an emptiness that the world cannot fill. You may try to replace it with distractions, with success, with people, but nothing satisfies that void. Only prayer does. It's the moment when the soul breathes again. Before Fajr, that truth surfaces with clarity. There's something about that time, the darkness, the quiet, the nearness of divine mercy that makes your heart confront the reality it's been avoiding. The heaviness is not there to punish you. It's there to remind you that your soul is suffocating without its source. You may think that missed prayers are gone forever, that it's too late, but your heart knows better. It knows that mercy never expires. The one who invited you to speak to Him 5 times a day is the same one who waits patiently when you don't. He never slams the door shut. Every time you rise to pray again, no matter how long it's been, He welcomes you as though you never left. Before Fajr, when your heart trembles with regret, it is your soul remembering this promise. That's why it hurts. Not because you are condemned, but because your heart is longing for the peace it once knew. The burden of neglected prayers can make you feel unworthy, but that feeling itself is proof that your faith is still alive. If your heart feels heavy, it means it hasn't hardened. It still feels, still hopes, still believes. That heaviness is the mercy that pushes you toward repentance. It's your soul whispering, don't give up, because even one sincere prayer after neglect can erase years of emptiness. Even one tear before dawn can be enough to start again. The one who created time can forgive what was lost in it. All He asks is that you come back, that you try again, that you answer the call your heart has been hearing all along. Sometimes the heart feels ashamed, wondering, how can I face Him after all this time? But that question itself is the beginning of healing. The very fact that you feel shame shows your awareness, and awareness is the first step to return. You do not need to pray perfectly to be forgiven. You only need to pray sincerely. The heart that rises after neglect is more beloved than the one that never fell, because its prayer comes with tears, with humility, with a rawness that only distance can create. Before Fajr, the angels witness such moments, broken souls standing again, hearts trembling, voices whispering, I'm sorry. And the heavens respond with mercy that no human eye can see. Your heart feels heavy before Fajr because it remembers every moment you chose the world over the one who made it. but it also remembers something greater, that he never turned away, that he still waits, still calls, still forgives. The burden of neglected prayers is not a life sentence. It is an invitation to begin again. When the call to Fajr echoes through the silence, it is not just a sound. It is a door opening. The question is whether you will walk through it. Because that heaviness you feel is not meant to break you. It's meant to bring you back to the place where your heart belongs, on the prayer mat, whispering to the one who never stopped listening. Before Fajr, there is a quiet battle happening, one that no one else sees, one that doesn't take place outside of you but deep within your soul. It's the unseen battle of light and darkness. You can feel it even when you don't have words for it. The air feels heavy. Your body feels pulled between two forces, one urging you to rise, to answer the divine call, and the other whispering, just stay a little longer, sleep a little more. You may not realize it, but in that moment you are standing at the border of two worlds, the world of heedlessness and the world of awakening. Every heartbeat before dawn is a battlefield where your soul and your nafs struggle for control. It is not a physical war, but it is the most important one you will ever fight. The darkness of the night carries more than silence. It carries whispers, the kind that tell you it's too hard, that you'll pray later, that one missed prayer won't matter. Those whispers are subtle, gentle, and convincing. They speak the language of comfort, not rebellion. But beneath that comfort lies a trap, a promise of rest that only deepens the soul's fatigue, because no amount of sleep can bring rest to a heart that is distant from its creator. The light within you begins to flicker when you give in to these whispers, when you choose the bed over the prayer mat. It is not just a physical choice, it's a spiritual decision, one that determines whether your soul will rise or remain heavy under the weight of forgetfulness. Every time you choose to rise before Fajr, you are defeating an unseen darkness. The angels record it. The heavens open for it, and your heart becomes lighter because of it. But when you turn away, when you surrender to the comfort of your blanket, you might not realize that you've allowed the shadows to linger a little longer inside you. The battle before Fajr is not about winning once, it's about showing up every time, because every night the forces of light and darkness gather again, waiting to see which you will answer. The Creator calls you through mercy, while the world calls you through distraction, and your heart, caught between both, feels the tension of this unseen war. That tension, that heaviness is not random. It is the sign of a soul that is still alive, still being fought for. The unseen battle of light and darkness is not one you fight alone. Every believer who rises before dawn feels it. Even the righteous feel the weight of their bed, the pull of sleep, the resistance of the body. But what separates those who rise from those who don't is not strength, it's love. Love for the one who calls them. When love outweighs comfort, darkness loses its grip. The moment you push yourself to rise, even if your body feels weak and your eyes heavy, a light begins to form around you. Not the light of the sun, but the light of sincerity. That light follows you into the day, shaping your thoughts, protecting your peace, anchoring your heart. It is the reward of those who win the unseen battle before dawn. Sometimes the darkness is not only around you, but within you. Sadness, anxiety, emptiness, guilt. These two are forms of darkness that weigh on the soul. And Fajr is the moment of release, the moment when that inner storm can finally find stillness. When you prostrate before your Lord in that hour, it's as if the unseen chains begin to break, the shadows start to dissolve, because in Sujood, the light of guidance meets the darkness of despair, and light always wins. The reason your heart feels heavy before Fajr is because it senses that battle, the push and pull between what your body wants and what your soul needs. The closer you are to light, the harder darkness tries to hold you back. The struggle itself is proof of your faith. If there were no light in you, there would be no battle at all. There's a wisdom in why this struggle happens right before dawn. It is the moment when night and day meet, when the unseen world draws near, when mercy descends. It's the hour when every believer has the chance to choose light over shadow, surrender over sleep, faith over forgetfulness. And in that choice, even if it's small, lies victory. You may not see it, but every time you fight the urge to stay in bed and instead whisper, Allahu Akbar, the unseen world celebrates. Angels surround you, mercy envelops you, and your heart begins to feel a calm that no comfort in this world can provide. The unseen battle of light and darkness continues in all of us. Every night, every dawn. Sometimes you win, sometimes you fall, but what matters most is that you keep fighting. Because every time you rise, even if your steps are slow and your heart is trembling, you are walking toward the light. The heaviness before Fajr is the pressure of that war, the weight of a soul that knows what it is capable of, what it was created for. And when you finally bow your head in sujood, that battle quiets, the whispers fade, the light takes over, your heart finds peace, not because the fight is over forever, but because for this night, for this